Good evening. My name is Tom Norris, Director of Athletics, and I'd like to thank the board for giving me a few minutes of their time to discuss a few things that are important to our school, our student athletes, and our community. As you all know, the facilities here at South Bend High School are extremely outdated, and I would like to take a few minutes of your time to talk about those facilities and the plans to move forward with some renovations and updates to those facilities. First, just a brief overview of our current facilities. We have the gymnasium, the baseball field, the softball field, and the football stadium, and those four are in the most dire need of updates and renovations for a multitude of reasons that I will get into here a little later in my presentation. So, again, thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, feel free to stop me, and I'll do the best I can to answer them. So, I'll start first with the gymnasium. The upgrades we would like to to move forward with on the facility would be new bleachers, new lighting, new floor, and new scoreboard. A couple different reasons for these upgrades. One, the facility, like I mentioned, is extremely outdated. The lighting is the original lighting that was in the facility when it was first built. So that in itself could create some safety issues, not just for student athletes and players using the facility, but also the fans trying to get in and out of the bleachers, in and out of the facility. In the case of an emergency, if there's not proper lighting, it may be difficult for fans to see, to get out of the building if something is to happen. So that's the first big issue. The second big issue, I think, is the bleachers. Again, we revert back to safety issues, and these are old wooden bleachers that, just as the lighting was here when the facility was built, um, most of the modern facilities, top of the line facilities these days have plastic bleachers, a hard plastic that withstands quite a bit of beating that these would take over the years. So I think that from a safety perspective for our fans and for visiting teams fans is a real issue and something that needs to be addressed. The other issue with the bleachers is they're not ADA compliant. They do not have handicap accessible seating. They do not have handicap accessible ramps. So in order for us to become compliant with ADA policies, we need to install new bleachers that have handicap seating and handicap access. So just a few of the safety related issues that need upgraded in the gymnasium. So the last issue, or the last two issues, the floor and the scoreboards. The scoreboards, again, um, just as everything in the building, have been there since the building was built. Um, so I think those are, in order for us to stay competitive in the facility realm of things within our conference, within our league, these changes need to be made, and it gives our student athletes a sense of pride when they can have a place to call home that is, that's a top of the line facility that is new, that looks nice, that is well lit. So all of those things, um, you know, on top of the safety issues, just the aesthetic look of the facility isn't very appealing to students and or fans and visiting fans coming in. So those are my plans for the gymnasium upgrades. Um, the floor design would be another one to try to tailor it a little more, and have a little more branding of our school on the floor, so that when people come into our facility, they know exactly where they're at. They know exactly what school that they are playing, and that we're representing. The second facility that I want to discuss is the baseball field. Obviously, being in the Midwest, it's extremely hard for us to maintain and keep a baseball field in really good shape. So, kudos to our baseball coaches and to our grounds crew that work, extremely hard to keep the facility playable and to keep it as safe as they can for our student athletes and for visiting student athletes. So, with that, moving forward, um, the field is full of holes and hills and bumps and things that create safety issues once again our student athletes and for visiting student athletes and anybody using the field. We could have anything from sprained ankles to, um, to injured knees to, um, just about anything with the amount of holes and the amount of bumps and things in that field. So my first recommendation would be to have the field laser graded. That would level out the field, take care of all the holes. We could fill the holes. That way we create a safe playing environment for our student athletes, because ultimately that's, we're here to look after the safety and well-being of our student athletes. And I think, from a facility standpoint, it starts with having a safe playing surface. Um, with that being said, along with leveling and removing bumps and hills and filling holes, the infield playing surface needs to be redone. Right now, the playing surface is kind of a pea gravel type of a type of surface, which when players slide and dive and are falling onto the ground, this can create again, abrasions, cuts, whatever it may be. So, getting that surface a little smoother, a little safer for our student athletes is extremely important. Um, New lights, new bleachers, new scoreboard are three other things that I think would be very, very beneficial to our baseball field. As you guys know, when you're playing a game under the lights, and for those of you who have played a game under the lights, it's extremely hard as it is to find the baseball. With the lights being bad, it makes it that much more difficult. And again, I keep coming back to safety issues, but uh, you know, as the athletic director, one of my main jobs is to make sure that all of our facilities are safe for players and both and fans as well, both from visiting teams and from our teams. So, um, those are the reasons for the upgrades. The baseball stadium is equipped with wooden bleachers, which are rotting. So, we go back to safety issues for the fans. If they're walking through the bleachers and a piece of rotten wood is to collapse, we have a whole other issue with liability and um, with just safety and things like that. So um, again, all the baseball field upgrades are going to be mostly for safety related issues. A new scoreboard would add a nice look to the baseball field. So that would be the only non-safety issue that I would see with upgrading the baseball field. Staying along those lines with our outdoor sports, our softball field would be the next upgrade I would like to discuss. Um, it's kind of on the same page as the baseball field. The outfield is full of holes and full of hills and full of bumps. Infield surfaces is pea gravel, and it's like falling into a bed of rocks when you're sliding and diving. So getting the softball laser graded, getting a new infield surface would be the first priority. Not only is that um, solving a few safety issues, that's also making the field appear and look nicer, and the playing surface is going to be nice for the kids. Um, New fencing, the fence is rusting, it's old, it's been there, since day one that the facility's been built. Uh, you know, I think this is more of a cosmetic fix, I think is the best way to describe it. With new fencing, it's going to make it look that much better. Also, with a kid, going after a ball and falling into a rusted fence and possibly, a piece of the fence hanging loose, can penetrate their skin. You're talking about health and safety issues again. So, the infield surface, the outfield surface, the fence, are three safety issues that I think need to be addressed, and that's a big reason that this facility is on our upgrade list. So, just as baseball, we'd like new lights, new scoreboard, new bleachers. Um, the bleachers are currently located down the first and third base lines, and going back to the fencing, it doesn't provide any type of barrier for balls leaving the field of play. So, um, these bleachers aren't in as bad a shape as baseball, but um, you know there are some safety issues. They're not ADA compliant. They do not have ramps. They do not have handicap accessible seating. So that's an issue that needs to be addressed. So again, softball, baseball, kind of on the same page. They new playing surfaces, new scoreboards, new fences, new lighting. I think all those issues, all those upgrades would help resolve a lot of safety issues that we could encounter um, while kids and athletes are playing on these fields. And lastly, and probably the biggest and most costly upgrade would be the football stadium. As everybody knows, football in the Midwest is a big deal, and Friday Night Lights, people, like to go to these top of the line facilities, to facilities with turf, facilities with good seating, with good lights. It's a big deal, and I think it's important for us to be able to present something to most importantly our student athletes in our community, and to visiting teams to come in and say, man, that when they leave, um, they look at their teammates and say, I really enjoyed playing in that stadium. It was nice. The atmosphere was good. So I think the football stadium upgrade again. We're in the Midwest, and it's extremely hard for to maintain a natural grass playing surface if you don't have the right resources and the right equipment to do so. So I think the biggest and most important upgrade for the football stadium is going to be a turf surface. This is it expensive on the front end? Sure. But on the back end, you save money in the long run because you're not spending money to upkeep a natural grass surface. With that being said, football is not going to be the only sport that can use it. You have soccer that will use it, baseball, softball when they have rain, or they're in the winter and get a decent day and want to go out and practice. They have that turf to be able to go do so on. So it's not only benefiting the football program, it's also benefiting a few other sporting programs that we have here at the school, and it benefits the community. We have our youth football league that can play there on Saturdays if they want, just because it's not you don't have to worry about the wear and tear of the natural grass surface. With the turf, it can withstand multitude of activities and a beating. So with that being said, lights, bleachers, locker rooms, concession stand, and a track are also on the list of upgrades for the football stadium. The lights are old. They're just like all the other facilities. It's been there since day one. So getting new lighting and getting new bleachers for our fans that are ADA compliant and have handicap access and handicap seating is extremely important. The track surface that goes around the current football stadium is deteriorating, so that would be part of this upgrade as well. So again, with the football stadium, we are, it's going to benefit a handful of teams, not just the football team. So I think this is a win-win for both us and both the community, because the turf and the football stadium can withstand a beating and get a lot of activities on that. So, brief overview of that presentation. As I said, the facilities are outdated. Most of them are not safe for student athletes. There are, a couple of them that present some safety issues for fans. So, those two alone are important issues that I think need to be addressed and has been a long time coming. So, the good news is we do have all the funding for the upgrades. We've been doing a lot of fundraising with these upgrades in mind, so the funding is not an issue. We just would like to get your guys' stamp of approval, and then we will move forward with it. So, with that being said, I would like to make a motion to proceed with the facility upgrades, and um, if you're all in favor, I'll get the ball rolling, and we will get this thing done for our student athletes, for our community, and I appreciate your guys' time. And if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know.